Do you believe in healing? Do you believe in physical healing? Do you believe it's God's will for you to be healed? Do you believe Jesus still heals in the 21st century as he did in the first? Well, to help you answer those questions, we need to begin in Isaiah. Isaiah 53, verses 4 and 5. Isaiah is prophesying about the coming Messiah, and he says this, "Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed." Now some would say that Jesus just provided for our spiritual healing there, the forgiveness of sins. But let's take a closer look. The Hebrew word for griefs is, if I pronounce it correctly, koli, which means sickness or disease. The Hebrew word for sorrows here is meko, which means pain, physical and mental, and any sorrow is related to the associated pain. So, in the original Hebrew, it would say this, "Surely he has borne our sicknesses and diseases and carried our pain, physical and mental." Matthew documents the fulfillment of this prophecy in Matthew chapter 8, verses 16 and 17, which say this, "When evening had come, they brought to him many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, He himself took our infirmities and bore our sicknesses." We must acknowledge then that Jesus, through his death and resurrection, not only provided for our spiritual healing, forgiveness of sins, but also for our physical and our mental healing. 1 Peter 2:24 also backs this up. Peter, in reference to Jesus, says this, "Who himself bore our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, having died to sins, might live for righteousness. By whose stripes you were healed." Healed in the Greek, and I cannot say this word, refers to physical and spiritual disease. So Peter then was speaking of the forgiveness of sins and also physical healing. You will find, if you look for yourself in the Bible, that Jesus healed all that came to him. So, is it God's will for you to be healed? Well, let me ask you this. Why wouldn't he want you healed? He is not the author or the creator of such things as cancer or asthma or arthritis. He doesn't use such things as disease or sickness to perfect our character. If he had meant to do that, Jesus wouldn't have needed to bore our sickness and our pain and our disease on the cross. It's done. It's paid for. Kenneth E. Hagin put it this way. Someone might say it may be the will of God for me to be sick. God may get more glory out of my being sick than if I were well. And as Kenneth goes on to say, what right then would God have to put your sickness on Jesus if he wanted you to keep bearing it? There's no need for both of you to bear it. Because Jesus bore it, you are free. So what does healing look like in the 21st century? Oh, I have many examples from my own personal life, but I only have time to share one. In 2011, my husband Scott was healed of dyslexia, something that caused him a lifetime of hidden emotional pain. According to the National Center for Learning Disabilities, children and adults with dyslexia have a neurological disorder that causes their brains to process and interpret information differently. And here's an example. This was created by Coventry University out of the UK. Try to read this sentence out loud. This was Scott's life, growing up in school, reading out loud to our children, trying to. Imagine trying to read the Bible with dyslexia. Imagine being healed of dyslexia. Scott, after a lifetime of trying to read this or see this, can now read. I asked Scott why he thought Jesus had healed him. His answer was simple. Because he wanted to. He wanted to, and he did. He took sickness and disease and pain and neurological disorders, and he nailed it to the cross 2,000 years ago. In 1918, there was a newspaper article published in the Spokesman in Spokane, Washington. It was healing evangelist John G. Lake, and he wrote, "God always was the healer. He's the healer still and will ever remain the healer. Healing is for you. Jesus healed all that came to him. He never turned anyone away. He never said it's not God's will to heal you, or that it was better for the individual to remain sick, or that they were being perfected in character through the sickness. He healed them all, thereby demonstrating forever God's unchangeable will concerning sickness." Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. I leave you with this. Out of 2 Kings 20, verse 5. I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. I will surely heal you. God truly is our everyday healer. Thank you.